Hey, I'm your host, Dr. Desiree Cassell. I'm an orthopedic and pelvic floor physical therapist specializing in women's health, aka pelvic floor. I'm a wife, mom of 3, foodie, lover of all things movement and nature, and I'm super passionate about educating, empowering, and supporting other women like you to find and maintain balance throughout all aspects of their lives, without pain, pressure, or peeing their pants. And this is the Balanced Momtality Podcast, where we will talk about all things pelvic floor, your core, and optimizing your pregnancy, birth, and postpartum recovery, providing you with the knowledge and tools so that you can feel like the strong, playful, and happy mom that you and your family deserve. Now let's get you out of those pads and back to loving movement. Fill up your water, pop in those AirPods, roll out your mat, and let's connect. Before we start today's episode, just a quick disclaimer that anything mentioned in this podcast is not meant to treat or diagnose any medical conditions. If you have any questions or concerns about your healthcare needs, please seek the care of your medical provider. This is also a safe space where we will be talking about very sensitive but important topics, such as issues with peeing and pooping, relationships, and even sex. So if you have littles around, probably a good idea to pop those AirPods in. But otherwise, I hope you enjoy today's episode.
Hey friends, so glad you're here for another episode on the podcast. We are diving full force into fall back to school mode over here. This week all my kids went back to school. My littlest sister left for college. It has been a roller coaster of a week. I wish I could say it was a smooth go, but between my oldest injuring herself, my middle one getting sick the first week, and having some rough mornings already, we are just trying to get through the week, and hopefully next week we will be more prepared and things will go a little bit smoother. So needless to say, this episode is coming out late this week, but again, better late than never. We are living that vibe because we are showing up regardless of it being perfect and as we planned. But with that being said, I'm excited for today's episode because it is the first episode in a new series I'm doing called Connected Through Menopause. Throughout this series, we're going to talk honestly about those changes that we as women experience during perimenopause and menopause and how to support your pelvic floor, your core, your strength, your confidence, and whole body health through this season. But today we're beginning with the big picture question. Why does my body feel so different? So if you have ever looked at your body during your 40s, 50s, and shit, let's just be real, even in our late 30s, we're starting to feel these changes, and it can be so frustrating when we're doing all the things, but maybe you're suddenly leaking when you exercise, even though you never did before. Maybe you're running to the bathroom more often. Maybe sex is starting to feel dry and uncomfortable, or maybe even painful. Maybe you're starting to feel pressure or heaviness or weakness or just less confidence in your workouts. Or maybe your body simply doesn't respond the way it used to. If that sounds familiar, you're not imagining it, and you are definitely not alone. And stay tuned because today's episode is going to be super helpful in just getting you to understand the reality of what's happening in your body through these transitional moments and hormonal changes, and starting to understand like what's truly normal and again, what's just common, because like so many areas in women's health, this is another area where I hear way too often that we're just accepting a lot of these signs and symptoms of menopause and perimenopause as normal, when really it can mean that we're not really supporting our body very well through those transitions. So I hope this series and this episode just starts to give you a bigger picture, give you some tools, give you some confidence, and really feel like you know how to support yourself moving through this next transition in your life. But let's just first start with what is perimenopause and menopause. So perimenopause is the transition leading up to menopause, right? And menopause is reached technically after you've had 12 consecutive months without a menstrual period, when another cause does not explain the absence, right? Like we didn't get a hysterectomy, even though that is technically like you are put into medicated and surgical menopause. But if there's maybe low nutrition intake and we're stressed and we're losing our period, maybe that's not menopause. Maybe that's stress and other issues affecting your hormones. But if you're in those later, late 40s, 50s, and you're getting that irregular cycle and it's just fading away, and then you have that full year without a cycle, that is technically menopause. But this isn't about blaming every symptom on your hormones. It's really about recognizing that your hormonal environment is changing, and those changes can influence several systems in your body. Menopause is not one moment. It is a transition that can affect your whole body and how your body feels and how it functions. And so when we can start to understand that, then that is where we can start to support it. And so why do you feel different, especially your pelvic floor? Why is our body changing so much during this phase? And it really comes down to the fact that estrogen sensitive vaginal tissue is now being neglected of that estrogen, right? It's depleted. We're not getting as much estrogen because that's really through menopause, the hormone that we're seeing the biggest change in. Now, obviously we are seeing a change overall because it's a system that works together. So when we aren't getting enough of one hormone, that does affect other hormones in our body, but we're really kind of focusing on the estrogen part of this through this episode. And yeah, when your system isn't getting that extra estrogen that it's used to, especially your vaginal space, your vulva space, the urethra and bladder tissue, they start to change when that estrogen level declines, especially the urethral sphincter. It's really dependent on estrogen to stay nice and plump. Your pelvic floor, the vaginal opening, all this needs that estrogen to be able to stretch and open and respond to that stretch and not tear, and be able to contract well, be able to support your bladder, be able to hold when you want to. And so it's affecting a lot more than just your reproduction. Many women do experience dryness and irritation, pain with sex, urinary urgency or frequency, and even recurrent urinary tract infections when we get less estrogen. And these symptoms are often grouped under the term gyno-urinary syndrome or menopause. And that again just starts to get to where we're like, oh yeah, it's just part of menopause, but we can support that space. Your vaginal and urinary tissues really respond to estrogen. So this means even things like topical estrogen cream can be a game changer for us as we go through this phase and this transition. And some women use it just during the transitional period, and as their body adjusts, they find they're okay without it. And I have other women that need topical estrogen forever, and they're just planning on using it because it's the difference of having leaking or the difference of having pain with sex. And therefore, we're just dealing with the cream. And it's so awesome that we have a cream that can help so much. But aside from even just our vaginal tissue and the changes that estrogen can make there, there's a lot more changing. And I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of that in this episode, but we're going to touch on it a little bit. So other than the hormonal changes, we're also having muscle and strength changes. So we start to see a change and a decline in muscle and strength, and specifically power and muscle mass, which is why strength training is so crucial during this phase. And not only to maintain strength and even gain strength and muscle mass, but also to help with our bone health, because we know as women, we get a lot more at risk for things like osteoporosis as we go through menopause and everything else because of those hormonal changes affecting our bone health. And so resistance training can really help our bone health as well, and the connective tissue changes that are happening, because again, without that estrogen, we're having a little less elasticity in our muscles, in our connective tissue, and that is why we can get sensitivity and irritability and soreness and cramping more often. And so sleep and recovery can also be really impacted, with hot flashes, or we're waking up in the middle of the night, having a hard time recovering after exercises. Our nervous system and stress levels also have a little bit harder time adapting and can be more tapped out through these adjustment periods because there is so much going on and there are hormonal plays there. but our bladder and pelvic floor is really getting impacted here. However, menopause isn't happening to one part of your body, right? It is a whole body transition, and therefore supporting your body shouldn't focus on only one body part either. We do want to make sure we are addressing pelvic floor space with the topical estrogen cream and pelvic floor breath work and release work and strengthening and core coordination and total body strength and all of that for sure. But we do want to look at the bigger piece. But remember, these pelvic floor symptoms I mentioned, and even hot flashes and insomnia and some of these things that come with menopause are very common. And common doesn't mean normal, and it also doesn't mean you have to just put up with it. Your pelvic floor isn't suddenly failing. It's responding to a body and environment that are changing. And so if we look at the environment, then we can start to also help our body in return. However, when I hear women say, "How do I get my old body back?" I really want to help them shift into more about how do I learn to support the body I'm in now, whether that's menopause, perimenopause, pregnancy, postpartum, an injury, post-surgical. If you're feeling like you're in a space where you're not connected and understanding your body and feeling like you're in your body and that your body is doing all the things you want it to do, then this is really the first step. We need to start connecting. We need to start listening and hearing our body. What messages is our body trying to tell us? Are we listening to those moments of pain? Are we aware when things don't recover very well? Are we aware when we're trying to do our strength training, how we're engaging, how we're breathing, how the load is feeling on our body that day? Are we doing mobility work to make sure those stiff joints and connective tissue are getting a little bit of help? Are we doing the breath work that's going to help keep circulation and blood flow and movement and safety in our body? Are we prioritizing recovery with nutrition and lifestyle support? And most importantly, are we giving ourselves grace while we're still challenging our body? This isn't the beginning of your body's decline, as so many women like to think. It's an invitation to understand your body differently. And I know for myself, since I'm obviously not in menopause, I'm 35, but I am in that very beginning stage of the perimenopause changes. And I am so glad that I get to work with women going through these changes and getting to help support them, because it's really changed how I view it and how I will be able to support myself moving forward when I do get into those periods and transitions. However, we really are trying to prioritize intention over perfection, especially in this phase when so much is changing. It can be so frustrating when we've been doing the same workouts that we normally do and it's just not feeling right. We are eating the strict diet that we normally do and we're not losing the weight. We're trying to get sleep, but we're just still fatigued and exhausted. And this is where we're just not intentional with little changes that will support our body so that now we do feel confident with strength training. We are recovering well. We are sleeping well. We are gaining strength. And it's not a matter of just powering through and doing the things. It's a matter of listening and connecting and trying to be aware of the big picture. And again, big picture meaning not just hormone support, because we can obviously do things like the topical estrogen cream I mentioned. We obviously can get on HRT, and this is the beginning of the menopause series, okay? So obviously I'm not diving into all the things today. Today we're really tapping in more to connecting into this new body and listening to this new body and being intentional with what we're doing. what we're eating, how we're moving, and noticing that if that exercise is making it so that you're having such a hard time recovering, maybe cardio 5 days a week is no longer feeling good in your body. Maybe it's time to switch it up, add some more strength training in. Maybe you've been doing a lot of strength training and you're finding that you're getting injured more often, or you're not able to progress weight like you used to be able to. Are you building recovery in? Are we just skipping a day of workout and calling it recovery? Or are we actually being more intentional and providing more nutritious foods, more protein, more healthy fats, more water, more micronutrients? Maybe we're getting some creatine in there, some electrolytes. Are we supporting your system? That is really the message for today, and being intentional over doing what we think is the quote unquote perfect thing for your body. Because if your body isn't feeling good, I have a wake-up call for you. It's probably not the perfect thing for your body. And what's perfect for someone isn't perfect for another. And let's just even take away the word perfect, because that's not the goal. Perfection is a fucking facade, and we are not going to put that as our expectation. It's more about checking in and being aware. So with that, I want to just give you 3 things to do this week so that you can start this awareness and connection. And so with that, we're going to start with number 1 is just noticing. Notice what actually feels different. Are we having a hard time lifting the same weight? Are we having a hard time with the same activities we normally used to? Are we not sleeping as well? Are we not recovering as well? Does our body like more protein than it used to? Does our body not respond to sugar very well like it used to? Is alcohol starting to be a trigger for those hot flashes and insomnia nights? Like, starting to pay attention, just notice. That's really where it starts. However, you knew I was going to mention it. The next thing is breath. I want you to just start connecting with your breath. Spend a couple of minutes intentionally connecting to your breath. Is it going into your pelvic floor? Is it going into your back? Is it going into your sides, your abdomen, your rib cage? What is the flow of that breath? Is it changing? Are you noticing more stiffness in places that you didn't used to? Is it harder to get your breath into your pelvic floor? Maybe it's easier, who knows? But really start to bring that breath into your awareness so that you can catch it if things change, and so that you can be aware and bring more intentional breath into your day, because we all know we could use a little bit more intentional breathing time every day. And then the third thing I want you to do is just move. Do something that feels good in your body, because so many women start to get afraid around these transitional big moments in their lives where they're afraid to move. Maybe someone even told them, nope, strength training is scary for you. You have osteoporosis. We don't want to lift heavy weight. Maybe someone told you, oh, yeah, you have pain with intercourse, so you never want to strength train because that's going to be too much for your body, right? We start to create this pattern of fear. And that fear in our body starts to get held as more tension. And then we stop moving. And when we stop moving, we get more osteoporosis, more fatigue. We start to gain weight. We lose our muscle. And it's a vicious cycle. So really don't think too hard about it. Just do some movement if it feels good, whether it's walking, lifting, stretching, dance, really whatever feels good. The goal is not the perfect exercise. Remember, perfect. No, we're not doing that shit. The goal is beginning to reconnect with the body that you're in. So with that, if there's one thing I want you to take away from today's episode, it's that your body changing does not mean your body is failing you. Menopause is a transition, and it is a big one. And transitions ask us to pay attention differently. And honestly, this idea goes far beyond menopause. It's one of the biggest things I teach women in my clinic: connection and listening to your system. When something changes in your pelvic floor or core or movement, we can't just chase the symptom or throw another exercise at it. We really want to actually zoom out and understand what's the whole picture. What's the body trying to tell you? And that's why I'm creating Healing Beyond Kegels. I wanted women to understand that bigger picture of pelvic floor healing and why breath and pressure and movement, strength, stress, sleep, all the things, and rest really affect your body. And I'll be sharing more about Healing Beyond Kegels very soon, so stay tuned. Make sure you're on my email list and following along on Instagram at The Balanced Momtality, because I cannot wait to share this new masterclass with you. It's going to be so great. We're getting out of the nitty-gritty of just anatomy and pelvic floor 101. I really want to get you guys more connected and more in tune. And remember, intention over perfection, my friends. And we will be here next week with another episode, so stay tuned. And there will be more episodes in the menopause series, so also keep a lookout for that. But all of this has been mentioned in the show notes below. And if you have any other questions, please feel free to reach out. And definitely download Pelvic Floor Core and More, the free app I have. If you haven't, it is still in the beta stages, so please bear with me. I've already had someone leave a review that there's not much free stuff on there, and that's true because it's such an early app. So I have these new masterclasses coming, lots of new exciting things like memberships and online programs. So go check it out, download it, because that way you'll already be in the app when Healing Beyond Kegels comes out. But otherwise, it's going to be such a fun new stage for all of us moving forward.
Well, that's it for today's episode. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did, and I want to thank you so much for taking the time out of your busy day. I know you've got so many other important things going on, but I hope it was helpful and you leave here with some tools to help you in your healing journey. And I just want to ask you, if you have found this helpful, to please leave a review on iTunes. Scroll down to the bottom of my podcast page and leave that 5-star review so it can help other women see this information. And also, if you want to be a part of my community of amazing women trying to balance all the things, great tips and insight and sharing stories and just motivating each other along the way, feel free to join my Facebook group, The Balanced Momtality, Wellness and Support. I hope to see you here next time on the Balanced Momtality podcast.